Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. We're monitoring two very scary incidents that happened today. First, a situation in Virginia at Old Dominion University, where a gunman opened fire, killing one person and wounding two others. Officials say the suspect, who is dead, had previously been convicted for ties to ISIS. We're also following an attack on a synagogue in West Bloomfield outside Detroit. A suspect rammed his car into the place of worship, apparently driving into a hallway inside the building. He is dead, and very luckily, no one else was killed. There was a half day at the preschool there that had 140 children. There are reports that the car contained explosives. We're going to have more on both of these stories coming up. But of course, all this is unfolding amid the backdrop of Donald Trump's continuing war with Iran. As of tonight, 8 American service members have died. Dozens have been injured. In fact, tonight, CENTCOM is reporting the loss of an American refueling plane in Iraq. They say not from hostile fire or friendly fire, but honestly, we don't know, because the war is now being fought in over a dozen countries, including Iraq. And officials throughout the region are reporting their mounting death tolls. As it stands, more than 1,300 Iranian civilians are dead, 17,000 more injured. There's millions who have been displaced. Nearly 700 people have been killed in Lebanon alone as Israel continues its incursion and strikes what it says are Hezbollah fighters there. 15 people have died inside Israel. There have been at least 70 other casualties throughout the various Gulf states. At this point, nearly 2 weeks in, it is abundantly clear, and gets clearer by the day, the White House has no plan. And honestly, quite possibly, it appears, again, didn't really bother to think about the potential consequences. Today, the Strait of Hormuz remains effectively shut down for non-Iranian ships, with Iran firing on oil tankers that try to make the journey through the very narrow strait that 20% of all global oil traffic goes through. Going through that very dangerous channel right now is something that Donald Trump says they should just do anyway. Just suck it up and go through. In his first public statement, very first public statement, Iran's new supreme leader says the strait will stay closed indefinitely. Now, as a result of the blockade being undertaken by Iranian armed forces, there's currently a backlog of at least 1,000 ships that can't go through the strait. By the way, it's not just oil, it's fertilizer, it's sulfur, which is used for a whole bunch of industrial and chemical processes. Partly because of this, largely because of this, a barrel of oil is now approaching $100 a barrel. It likely will not stop there. And astoundingly, after interviewing a dozen U.S. officials, the New York Times came to the conclusion that this White House simply didn't think this would happen, did not plan for this, which I got to say is kind of apparent to anyone watching them respond in real time.
President Trump announced the U.S. Development Finance Corporation will provide political risk insurance at a very reasonable price for crude carriers and cargo ships operating in and around the Gulf. And as you pointed out, Jackie, the president said if necessary and when appropriate, the U.S. Navy will begin escorting tankers through the Strait of Hormuz.
Okay, think about the timeline here, right? February 28th is when the war starts. On Saturday, that was March 4th, so 4 days later, 4 or 5 days later. They're saying, oh, we got a plan. Once they start to see that, oh, this might be a problem, we're going to provide political risk insurance and we're going to escort ships. So let's start with the first part of that proposal. Trump's proposal for the U.S. government to offer insurance to tankers going through the Strait of Hormuz. It's apparently going to be run by that government agency she mentioned, the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation. It's going to cost $20 billion. Okay, fine. But it's an unusual proposal because while there is a market around insuring ships during wartime, it's not really something the U.S. does or has any expertise in. It's actually mostly run out of the well-known insurance firm Lloyd's of London. So the Wall Street Journal did some excellent reporting on how, listen to this, the White House apparently on the fly, like after Trump announced it, scrambled to try to put together ex nihilo, out of nowhere, their own maritime insurance market during wartime. Step one was apparently trying to figure out how maritime insurance works. As the Journal reports, quote, U.S. officials called London insurers and brokers, trying to figure out how the market operates, industry insiders said. The administration adapted its plan on Friday after ship owners and insurers questioned its practicality. The DFC pivoted to proposing using the $20 billion as reinsurance, or coverage that insurers can buy to offset certain risks. Reinsurance is like insuring insurers. Trump's commitment to cover all maritime trade in the Gulf is also being rowed back. The federal reinsurance will be limited to ships that meet certain, as yet unspecified criteria. Now, as the Journal goes on to note, though, the insurance here isn't really the problem. You see, any ship that wants to traverse the Strait of Hormuz can already get insurance. The reason they're not risking it is because Iran is going to try to sink them. As one executive of a company that runs natural gas tankers put it in the article, quote, "It's more about the safety of the crews rather than taking on insurance for damages." Ah, yes, one thing we forgot about in our plan, those pesky humans helming the big oil transports that don't want to die. So that brings us to Trump's second plan, to have the U.S. Navy escort ships through the strait. Now, you remember earlier this week, Trump's Secretary of Energy, Chris Wright, said the U.S., ta-da, had already done it. They had already escorted a ship through the strait before the White House had to retract the claim without explanation. Now Chris Wright says it will happen eventually.
People would love to see the Navy being able to escort a tanker through the strait. And earlier this week, from an ex-post, it looked like that was happening. It wasn't happening. I guess the White House later said that it was incorrect. Why isn't it happening? Can it happen now? Will it happen soon that the Navy can do that?
It'll happen relatively soon, but it can't happen now. We're simply not ready.
Not ready, you say? Well, I mean, you can see why you're not ready. After all, Iran did surprise attack. Oh, wait, no, actually, no. U.S. and Israel were the ones that started this, right? This round of it. So even if it does happen eventually, I got to say, I'm not sure the American public is on board with a plan that, to be really crystal clear about what we're talking about here, risks the lives of U.S. service members, many of them, aboard well-manned ships so that we can escort foreign oil tankers through the strait. Especially because, as Donald Trump now says, ready for this one? High gas prices are actually a good thing. Not making it up. Here it is, writing on social media, quote, "The United States is the largest oil producer in the world by far, so when oil prices go up, we make a lot of money." You think that one's a winning message heading into the midterms? I started a war that's going to make gas way more expensive, but don't worry because the oil companies are going to get rich. American oil companies. Great. I don't think even the White House actually believes that one, which explains yet another chaotic about face it's taken, this one on releasing oil from the strategic reserves. Listen to this on the Journal, reporting again. So on Tuesday morning, that same Chris Wright, the one who was like, we're escorting ships. No, we aren't. Oh, it's going to happen soon. So Chris Wright goes and meets with foreign leaders and tells them the White House is opposed to releasing International Energy Association oil. A bunch of countries are going to come together and release oil from their strategic reserves. And Chris Wright goes to the meeting and says, no, that's a bad idea. Less than 2 hours later, he went back, hat in hand, and started making the case for releasing oil. Must have changed his mind? Possibly because Trump wanted to make this public announcement.
I'm pleased to report that earlier today, the International Energy Agency agreed to coordinate the release of a record 400 million barrels of oil from various national petroleum reserves around the world, which will substantially reduce the oil prices as we end this threat to America and this threat to the world. We don't want to leave early, do we? We got to finish the job, right?
Finish the job. It's done. The war's won, but also just beginning. It's a little bit of both at the same time. They pose no threat, but we got to finish the job. It really feels incoherent. And that's before we even get into matters of national security. There, too, Trump is making up intelligence on the spot. Get this, that the U.S. knows about alleged Iranian sleeper cells, but seemingly has taken no action against them.
Have you been briefed about how many Iran sleeper cells there could be inside the U.S. right now?
I have been, and a lot of people came in through Biden with this stupid open border. But we know where most of them are. We've got our eye on all of them, I think.
Okay, let's just look at that again. It came through Biden's stupid open border, right? We know where most of them are. We've got our eye on all of them, I think. There are Iranian sleeper cells, according to Donald Trump, that they know about, who are just chilling, that we're just like letting hang out. Now, I got to be clear. I don't know how seriously we should take that claim at all. I think there's some real reason for skepticism. But taking Trump at his word, it would mean, again, the government knows about Iranian sleeper agents in the U.S. there to do some terrible thing, but isn't lifting a finger to deport them. It would rather expend billions of dollars shooting unarmed protesters and nabbing and deporting kids with Spider-Man backpacks.